You're only as good as your last game. And as far as I'm concerned, this man, Tobias Harris, is a really good player. Like, I mean, he just secured himself $50 million. dollars. Yes, he just secured himself $50 million. Dollars. He's about to turn 34 later on this year. And the performance he put on today in a closeout game 7 against the very good defensive team in the Orlando Magic, you can't help but say he just locked in that 50 million. I mean, this is a Detroit team that was down 3-1. Everybody was asking, Cade doesn't have any help. Who's going to be that person to step up? Those were all the questions. And Tobias Harris answered that tonight. He answered those questions today. 30 points. His best performance as a Piston, 9 rebounds, shooting lights out, made 5 threes. You can't help but like look at it that the Pistons will be crazy with the cap space that they're going to have this upcoming summer. They will be crazy not to re-sign Tobias Harris. And these are the type of performances that agents love. This is the type of performances that they want their clients to have because they just locked in another set of generational wealth. $50 million is what they're going to give me. You show me somebody around his age, given his level of productivity. I'm not talking about the superstars like the LeBrons, the DeMar DeRozans, the Kawhis. We know what they can do. But somebody at a role piece like this, 6'8", 6'9", can play that forward spot, can shoot really well. He's gonna land that $50 million contract. 3 years, 2 years, it doesn't matter. And the reason why I say that, you look at somebody like Klay Thompson, who back in 2024 signed with Dallas, 3 years, $50 million. Now look at Klay Thompson's numbers. All right. We go to Klay Thompson at around the same age of 34 years old. Had a really good 2023-2024 season with the Golden State Warriors. He was 33 at the time. Averaged about, was it 17 a game? He was getting 17 points a game. He was getting very good numbers. 17 points, 93% from the free throw line. Shooting about 38% from 3, very good numbers. But that's Klay Thompson, one of the greatest shooters of all time. So he's going to do what he does. But look what he was at 34. 14 a game, still shooting good, 90% from the free throw line. Doesn't rebound the way Tobias Harris does. It's not getting you that. But then when you look at his field goal percentages, compare that to Tobias Harris this past season. These are the things that they're going to bring up in negotiations. What they're going to argue for. You look at what Tobias Harris gave you this season. He's shooting 47% from the field. He's about a 37% three-point shooter, give or take. Then he's still giving you about 13 to 14 points per game. If somebody like Klay Thompson could command $50 million just off of that, I don't see how Tobias Harris doesn't get that. I really don't. I mean, if you really want to calculate it and put it out, you may get it, somewhere around, maybe they settle somewhere around 40. I personally think there's a lot of other teams that will meet them at that 50. So Detroit, they're going to have to cash out. And the cap space is going up. Contract, you have a young budding star, superstar for that matter, young superstar, because he's just a title away from becoming one. And Cade, who plays really well with him, steps up with him. I don't see why you wouldn't surround Cade with that level of shooting. Looking at the way he plays, he's more so somewhat of a heliocentric type of dual forward type. That's Cade Cunningham. He's going to need shooters laced in that wing, and Tobias Harris does that. And if you can get somebody with his experience, his clear, clutch level performance, because really this took off around the second quarter. You see right here, that game was close. They were tied at one point. And it was Tobias Harris' three-point shooting that really distanced it, that just set things apart. If you can get that type of veteran player that can still be productive, and you put him alongside Cade, that team takes it up a level. And you've seen it in this Game 7, because honestly, I thought Orlando was going to win it. I thought it was done. But Tobias Harris shooting changed that. His gameplay changed that completely. And that's a $50 million player right there. $50 million player, especially for his age. You're not seeing anybody around his age like the Harrison Barnes who putting up these type of performances. I know Harrison's catching a stray. Great player throughout his career. but he's not doing what Tobias Harris is doing. At least I haven't seen it in this postseason. So it's fair to say this is how you secure yourself generational wealth in your mid to late 30s in the NBA, getting that $50 million. And another thing where people have to realize, like, I mean, when you're looking at Tobias Harris, he not just a core play, but in the locker room, great locker room guy. You're not going to see anybody speak bad upon him. He's going to come in there, put in the work, still be productive. So if he needs to talk to the young guys like a Sore Thompson to get in the gym, you know, step up and do this, they're going to listen to him. All right. He's not going to rub them the wrong way. This is somebody you want in your locker room. So this isn't going to hurt the team at all. This is, if anything, is going to help them. So shouts out to Tobias Harris. Great game. Great game. I mean, I love to see these type of performances. But on the Pistons, you know, this offseason, speaking about, like, they have a lot of money to play with. A lot. Well, let me rephrase that. They have some space to play with. Your main suitors, when you look at it, are going to be players like a Tobias Harris, maybe even an Anthony Simon, you know, after missing out on Jaden Ivey. You know, Jaden Ivey's a great baller. Like, contrary to what all the nonsense is going on, he's still a very good player. Was going to be a great backcourt piece with Cade, but that didn't pan out. But you look at Anthony Simon, he pairs well with somebody like Cade Cunningham. Those are players that you look at. John Collins, again, depending on how he is, he's young, about to be 29, doesn't really give you the type of shooting touch that Tobias Harris has, but that's another player that you can look at if the Clippers don't bring him back, you know. So there are some players out there, but the performance Tobias Harris put on, I mean, if you were to ask me, and I watched a lot of Clipper basketball, I'd rather take Tobias Harris than John Collins, man. I mean, I'd rather take him. John Collins didn't have the best of years. I mean, there was a noticeable dip compared to what he was at Utah. But, I mean, he's still a sound three-point shooter, 40%. Young, too. Like I said, he's in his prime, essentially. You know what you're going to get from him. But Tobias Harris, man, I don't see John Collins with that level of clutch, you know, that step up, you know, that grit to want to stay the course. And Tobias has his moments and where you're like screaming at the TV, like, why do we have this guy? Why is he on my team? You know? But nonetheless, you know, it's nice like this. This is why I say you're only as good as your last game. You forget all that. All sins are forgiven for whatever he did. You know, whatever he did, all sins are forgiven. You're just like, hey, this is start a new chapter. This is the guy we're going to roll with. This is who I want on my team. And in this upcoming offseason, you know, when you look at the forward market, there's going to be a lot of unrestricted free agents, you know, around that forward position that could possibly do some things. Again, I mentioned John Collins. You got to look at players like Norman Powell, but I don't think he's going to Detroit. Andrew Wiggins, is he opts out, but I think Miami keeps him. But more so when you look at somebody like a Chris Middleton, no, absolutely not. Not at this point in the game. CJ McCollum is nice. You know, I think CJ McCollum pairs well with Cade. He brings in that veteran experience. Very good clutch player. You know, he scores in bunches, can shoot the ball really well. You know, you want to look at players like that. And again, mentioning Anthony Simons once again. But Tobias Harris, he just locked in $50 million. He ain't going nowhere, bro. He's not going anywhere. That was a phenomenal game. I mean, that continuity, that level of continuity too, that's going to come. You don't want to bring in anybody else that doesn't know or is going to take, you know, that kind of acclimation period. I think they're riding high on momentum with this team, and they want to continue that. And keeping that balance and that continuity is going to be very important for the Pistons moving forward. And I definitely do foresee them within the next 5 seasons potentially making it into the NBA Finals. They can get out the East. You see Boston is very formidable. Boston's very beatable. Sorry. You can beat Boston, you know. So there's nothing to worry about with that. And you're the best team in the East. You have the best record. This, I mean, they're riding high right now. This is a team you want to put your money on in the Eastern Conference. They just need a little few tweaks and pieces right there to add to them. Another scorer to go-to scorer. Because is Tobias Harris going to give us this night in, night out? Hey, if you're a Pistons fan, hey, you pray he does. You know, you save a lot of money. You're in the right position. I mean, you really just won the Eastern Conference because of that. So, yeah, I mean, basically, moving forward in this playoffs, like you gotta tip your hat off to him. You gotta tip your hat off to him. Like, you know, there's a lot of hidden value in players like him. And the more teams focus on getting, you know, these type of players, putting them in the position to succeed, because they're not all these guys are completely washed. You know, a lot of people want to say that, oh, you know, someone like Tobias is washed, he's done, like, you know, there's nothing like, you know, he's gonna do to, you know, to help improve your team. But there's a lot he can do. An absolute lot he can do for your team. And we've seen it tonight in game 7. We absolutely seen that. So, hey, what more could I say? What more could I possibly say? Shouts out to the Pistons. In this next round that they're going to be playing, though, huh, do they get past the Cavs, the winner of the Cavs and Cavs in their series? I want to lean yes. I think they could do it. I mean, they already went through this scare of like potentially losing to an 8 seed. That would have been very embarrassing. Probably would have blown up that whole team. They overcame that. But, you know, you never know with these young teams, man. You just never know. But I definitely think they could pull it off. I definitely think they can pull it off. James Harden, we already know what he's going to give you. Maybe the first 2 games he's going to ball out, but then throughout the series, as the series goes on, nothing. So your real hope for the Pistons is that you play the Cavs, because the defense Toronto's coming with, you don't want to have no parts of that. Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, you don't want to have no parts of that. I don't know if Tobias is going to have the type of nights that he just had against. You know what? Take that back. He will. Because Orlando's a very good defensive team. And if he can have a night like this, he could definitely have that type of night against the Toronto Raptors in a few games, actually. So I take that back. Either way, it's looking good for the Pistons to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got past, you know, the toughest test, you know, seeing how are they going to respond in the closeout game 7. And Kate did his thing, 32 points, and he had the running mate that he needed in Tobias Harris, who stepped up and who gave you that. And in a contract year, people just don't understand how important this is. In a contract year, he was able to put on this level of performance. I know his agent is screaming. I know his whole camp is like, hey, man, we got it. He's probably going to retire a Piston and potentially retire as an NBA champion. But I definitely want